We have about half an hour allocated for today's presentation. Again, we will be talking about the use of consistent messaging throughout the organization to help ensure your CRM success. My name is Steve Luke. I am a consultant with InfoGrow. I have been working with the Dynamic CRM since the 1.2 days, and I have been in the industry working with Salesforce automation and contact management since the early days of Goldmine and ACT. This afternoon we will take a brief review of what we discussed last month on following up, and then we will talk about the templification of CRM. And yes, for those of you who have returned, you realize I do make up my own words. Templification is one of the words I've made up, but it is something that we will be discussing in depth this afternoon. We will also see how it's actually used within a CRM environment. And at the conclusion, we will give a sneak peek at next month's presentation topic and open the floor up for any questions and answers. So with that, let's briefly touch base on what we discussed last month as it blends nicely into this month's conversation. Last month's topic, we were reviewing becoming proactive with your customers, and by customers they could be your clients, accounts, contacts, prospects, leads, or anyone in your system that you want to have a healthy relationship with. And by a healthy relationship, someone who you're trying to cultivate to generate revenue or to maintain a relationship to keep ongoing revenue with your customers. Being able to review past behavior to understand and predict the next occurrences of something happening, like a number of days between purchase transactions or customer service activities. We want to make it as easy as possible for these customers to do business with us. This helps us to ensure that healthy, profitable relationship with our customers. One of the key components of becoming proactive is planning follow-up activities. And we spent a lot of time last month reviewing how activities are everywhere within CRM, and they have very specific types of activities, phone calls, tasks, appointments. Today we're going to drill down specifically into templicizing letters and emails for our proactive follow-up activities. So as an organization, we want to help ensure we have a consistent message going out of our doors. And by out of our doors, either in a print format or in electronic. This helps ensure that everyone who is generating a communication, that their message looks the same. Might not be a big deal, but as we have a diverse staff, we may have our own terminology that we like to use, but this helps ensure that we have corporately approved language within any communications that are going out. And probably the biggest benefit of templicizing these messages is that the message is already created for the user. This takes away any type of a guesswork, thought process, or manually having to create the same message more than once. Very, very useful if the same type of a communication is produced more than once. Templicize it. We've just benefited from the work getting done as a template. Another critical benefit of our consistent messaging through templates is that we're not sitting here scratching our head trying to figure out what to write. We all have had those types of blank screens on our front of our computer. We sit there wondering, what is it we want to write to somebody? Is it a thank you for a sales visit? Is it a follow-up request asking for a customer satisfaction to be completed, or something else? If you are even remotely close to me, you probably have lots of misspellings and incorrect grammar in your email messages. We don't have to worry about that. We also don't have to worry about copying and pasting data. I'm always amazed to see how many people will be on a contact record, copy the person's information, toggle into an email message to paste it, rather than having a template that already knows that after the word dear, we would like to insert the person's first name. There are no more typos and no accidental all caps or all lowercase. It looks professional each and every time, again, because we have taken the effort to establish a template of that. And as we talked about last month, following up at the right time for the right reason to achieve the desired results can definitely be part of our it's hard to say, our templatization of our communications, in particular with workflows. If you are not familiar with workflows in CRM, get familiar with it. They take away a lot of the manual processes and are established so that a series of events will happen at the right time for the right reason to achieve that correct or desired result. So, thinking of templatizing CRM, what are some of the things that we are able to templatize? First, and probably the most familiar with all of you, are letters. Being able to have a boilerplate letter that gets produced with a mail merge process with the data stored inside of CRM. These mail merge letters, if you've tried them in the past, they're somewhat convoluted. You have to take a Word document, save it into an XML format before uploading it into CRM. Generally speaking, not a everyday user type of a process, but something centrally administered that your CRM admin or a power user generally creates and configures these templates, loads them into the CRM system for others to use. Once they are in the system, using them isn't too bad. It's just a little bit of clicks to get through, especially if we're producing a letter for one person. You have to go through the entire mail merge sequence of steps, and users sometimes get frustrated with the process Word follows to generate the mail merge document. I'm going to pause and skip over that third bullet of limited or no control for a moment, but we also, and jump down to the fourth, I'm sorry, we can also take an Excel file. So if we have a system view, a user saved view, or an advanced find search results, we can export that and then use that as the source for a Word template as the mail merge data content. Let me go back and review this bullet that's talking about the control over the edits once produced. If we do perform a Word mail merge, the system will produce a Word document that the user is then able to edit. Just to be concerned with that, because that does give them the ability of putting whatever content they wish, not a bad thing, but just something to be aware of, being able to put their own content into the body of one or multiple letters being produced from this mail merge. There is an alternate option for this, and we can generate a PDF document from a customized SQL Reporting Services report, or SSRS report. Very useful if we are producing things like contracts or other legally binding documents that we want to have a standardized content that is uneditable by the users. So again, rather than a Word template, we could generate a customized report which produces the PDF document and in essence is uneditable in the process. Is there anything else that we are able to templatize? Yes, there is. The biggest topic for the rest of, or the biggest item we're going to cover the rest of this afternoon is the use of email templates. The image at the bottom of the screen is kind of hard to see, and I tried to black out names of the innocent, or block out the names to protect the innocent. But it is an example of an email template generated automatically from Microsoft Dynamics CRM system with some formatting taking place. We can see we've got some bold fonts and outline numbers and some HTML code inside of the email message that a CRM workflow is generating and sending automatically. So the within CRM, the ability to create nice-looking emails is baked into the system. However, being able to make really pretty HTML formatted emails is a little bit of a process that does not happen automatically, but can be done very easily if you have an HTML editor, and in essence you can copy and paste to put that HTML looking email in as an email template. My next slide is a little bit of an expansion of that image where, again, we can see some of the formatting, the HTML hyperlinks inside of the email message that, again, was getting automatically generated from a workflow within a CRM system. So what else can we do with these email templates? Well, one of those is that we can establish them as a global template or an entity-specific template. So if it is a global template, it is kind of like a almost blank page, but some of the information is already filled in for the user, maybe a standard subject and a signature block. Entity-specific templates allow us to do very precise mail merge information on certain entities in CRM: leads, accounts, contacts, opportunities, quotes, cases. I believe orders, invoices, service appointments are also included, where we can have pre-built templates for those types of entities. Each template, being either global or an entity specific, can have one or more attachments automatically attached and available when that template is being used. Let me stress this point. Attachments can be preset for an email template. I am sure you or a colleague of yours has at some point or another been looking for a document they thought was on their C drive. Then they moved it to a thumb drive because they ran out of space. When they see it on the thumb drive, they realize there's 3 different versions of the same file. They have lost track of what the current version is, so they send an email to a marketing or sales coordinator. They wait for that person to reply back with the attached current version of that file, where they in turn save the file, then go on and attach it to an email in order to send it. Let's flip that scenario and have the marketing or sales coordinator maintain the attachments on email templates. Then the user simply needs to know which email template to use for what reason, and the current version of the attachment is already there. Or again, if there's multiple attachments, they are all included automatically. We've just saved many, many steps, possibly repeatedly, through these attachments on an email template. Here on the screen is an example of how a template can be used to include either data that is stored in your CRM record or replace it if there is no data on the record. So in that first yellow block, we can see, it might not show up real clearly on your end, account name, semicolon, valued customer. So as a user makes use of this template, it will either put the company's name, and if there is no company name to put in there, it will put the words valued customer, saving that effort of a user typing, copying and pasting, or trying to compose this email from scratch. It is done as a template already for us. There are a couple of negatives, not necessarily showstoppers, but some negatives with email template usage. The first one, if I am using workflows to generate the email on behalf of a user, and the workflow is trying to send the message, if that particular user is using the Outlook client, they must be in Outlook for the message to be sent. So if they have exited Outlook, then the workflow generates and tries to send the message. It will not get delivered until that user returns to their Outlook box, in which time that email is synced and sent through Outlook. If we are using the email router, the negative on that is the user doesn't necessarily know they had sent the message. Email router will bypass Outlook and it will not show up in their sent items, but it does show up as a sent email within CRM. So depending on where they are going for email tracking, they may or may not see it if the email router is used. However, the email router will always send the message nearly instantaneously, so it is in much of real time as we possibly can get. Another negative with email templates that I've seen is there's not an easy automatic way of tracking things like opens or click-throughs like you would with a Marketo, Constant Contact, or other type of an email broadcast solution. You can do email broadcast from within CRM, but you are limited to what the tool is capable of producing as far as the email message. And again, not being able to capture the opens or click-throughs with a broadcast may be a very negative in your environment for using email templates. Advertisement time. InfoGrow has a application that we have developed which links CRM Dynamics to Constant Contact so that your recipients of an email broadcast are stored inside of your CRM. The template is produced by Constant Contact, but all of the transactions, all of the sends, the opens, the bounces, the click-throughs, most importantly, and then also the opt-outs are brought back down into CRM. Very seamless from the user's experience, but very powerful of having that additional information, again, which is not necessarily easily available using the CRM templates by themselves. Emails, these email templates that we've been talking about, can be used inside of workflows. So based upon whatever type of communication plan you have established, we can make use of existing templates and have the email automatically create the message. We also can have the workflow automatically queue up the message, puts it in the, as this example, a salesperson's draft emails. The salesperson can review what was automatically created for them, add their own comments, make changes if necessary, or just click the send button for the email to be delivered. It's an option with the workflow of either creating a message or of automatically sending the message. And this third bullet is a really neat concept. This does not happen automatically by CRM Dynamics, but with a little bit of work, and we can assist you with these changes, but we can have a PDF document automatically get created, attached, and then sent in a workflow process. On the screen, I have an example that a client of ours does volumes of quotes, and what they were finding is that they would produce the quote in CRM, they would have to click print report, would select the quote report they wanted, wait for it to generate, they would save as PDF, change the file path that they're saving it in into a central folder, then they would open up an email message, click the attach file, and go browse to the file that they just saved from that report was generated. Lots and lots of steps to go through, and they were doing 10 to 12 quotes a day. So we developed a little solution for them that as a default setting, the quote is automatically created as an attached PDF and sent to the decision maker they identified on a quote. And within a workflow, it was 3 simple steps of creating the email, creating and attaching the PDF document, and then sending it. And what that happened to do on the left, the other left, the right-hand side of the screen is an example where the data was automatically merged onto this report and then saved as the PDF and gets emailed out to the person. Really cool stuff to produce a very beautiful output document and have it fully automated through a workflow process. Something else that can be templatized are knowledge base articles. If you are not using the knowledge base, I highly encourage you to start looking into it. It gives you the ability to centrally store and capture different things of information. Now, by different things, as you can see in the top right, it could be a procedure, questions and answers, solutions to a problem, or you can create your own personalized or organizationalized article templates for everybody to use. And in the lower portion of the screen is an example where we have a question and answer type of a template where we put in the the question information that they would be asking, and then the answer is actually a hyperlink to a file, so that if the details are changed, we're simply changing what that external file says. We're not updating knowledge base articles. Case resolutions, troubleshooting, technical support, corporate policies, RMA procedures, anything else could be put into knowledge base articles. And then, as we will see very soon, how these knowledge base articles can be used to communicate with our contacts or our leads. The other item that we can make use of from a template perspective is sales literature. We have the ability of building a library of sales literature, and each entry in the sales literature library may have multiple attachments. Kind of goes back to the scenario I was explaining earlier, where a salesperson may not know what the current version is of a document. By maintaining it inside the sales literature area, they simply draw upon that particular entry, and the current attachment is already available for them. We no longer need to have multiple versions, or actually multiple copies of the same version, floating around. We can also associate sales literature to specific products or competitors, so that I can drill down and very quickly find the sales literature I'm looking for to be sent outward to a lead, a prospect, or a customer. So let's take a look and see some of this in action. The picture that is on the screen right now is the CRM options of an Outlook email. You should already be familiar with the tracking and the untracking. Hopefully you are also familiar with the set regarding, being able to associate an email to a specific record within CRM. We're going to look at those other three items: the insert template, article, and attach sales literature. So let me make changes on my screen, and I am going to bring up a new email message. And the first thing you probably are aware of is that your address book could be linked to your CRM contacts. I could also be on a CRM contact. Oops, I got a lot of blank names there. So all of my CRM contacts are available to select, or I could already be on that CRM contact and compose a CRM email. The first step in the process would be either to track the message or just set regarding, which will automatically track it. And we have the ability of tracking it to any of those entities in CRM that support email activities. I am going to select a contact, test. Now when I click on my insert template, it is going to show me either those global templates that we talked about or the entity-specific templates. So I have used these before. They appear in my recently used list, but I can also come down to more email templates and search through the entire list of contact templates. If I select an item, the email will be filled in with everything that was defined on the template. It has a preset subject, it has an attachment, and since I was not in a contact in CRM, it doesn't know the dear greeting that it wants to use, so in this case it was left blank, but all of this was filled in for me without having to type anything whatsoever. And again, insert template. I can choose what standardized template to make use of, and let me change my regarding to an account. When I click insert template, you'll see that my list of entity-specific templates has changed. So now I can look through my list of account templates, or again my global templates. Saves me the work of doing this. Let me just blank out my page. I can also use the knowledge base articles, and if it is an article again that I've used recently, it's immediately available, or I can go in and do my search for an article. But if I already know somebody's asking me the question of how do I turn the lights on, and it's a question I receive all the time, I don't have to sit there and think of what I'm going to tell them to do. it's been templateized. I select the article to insert, and my article template content now shows up in my email message. And oops, I forgot to remove my attachments, but if I click on Attach Sales Literature, I have my literature libraries, and when I pick one of them, whatever attached files there were will appear as my attachments on my email message. So in this case, I have a picture and an XML file that automatically were attached. I did not have to go look for it. The system was already preset to know that was the sales literature I want to include. Think in your mind how much productivity we could gain simply by establishing these CRM global or entity-specific templates, using knowledge-based articles, and also being able to have our pre-built sales literature available to select from, while at the same time using those areas also with a workflow or multiple workflows to streamline this entire communication process. So we don't have 15 people in our support center giving 15 different answers to how do I turn on the lights. We have it already established, and now everybody benefits internally and externally from the consistency of using these templates. Let me come back into the slideshow, resume it. So briefly, since I see we're almost out of time, next month, third Thursday of May, we're going to talk about data mining for pinpoint targeting or analysis. What does that mean? Being able to use the tools within CRM to find a set of data, demographically, everybody that shares the same common trait or traits, or transactional data. Find everybody who bought a Binford 6100 more than 6 months ago. They might need a product recall. So next month we will be talking about the data mining for pinpoint targeting or analysis. But at this point, Christine, are there any questions that have been submitted, or if you want to open the phone lines up for questions, I'd appreciate it.
No questions yet, but I will open it up.